I still remember the day as clearly as if it happened just yesterday. The air outside was calm, the kind of quiet morning that usually promised peace inside our home. I had woken early, hoping for a few minutes to myself before the chaos of another busy day began. My name is Sarah, and for years I had lived inside a rhythm of family, work, and trying to hold everything together. But little did I know that a small moment in our bathroom would turn into something that shifted how I looked at my life and my marriage. That morning, I slipped into the bathroom just to splash my face with water. My reflection stared back at me in the mirror, eyes tired, a few strands of hair falling from the bun I had rushed together. I sighed, wondering when the weight of being a mother and a wife had begun to carve so deeply into me. Just as I leaned over the sink, the door creaked open, and before I could say a word, my teenage son, Jason, stepped inside. His eyes widened in shock, and he immediately froze. "Mom, sorry," he blurted out, fumbling with the door handle to close it again. It was only a second, an awkward accident, but the look on his face stayed with me. He wasn't just embarrassed. There was something else there, something unspoken. I brushed it off at first, chalking it up to normal teenage awkwardness. But later that day, I found myself replaying the moment. It wasn't about the bathroom, it was about what was happening in our family. Jason had been quieter than usual for months. My husband, Mark, had been distant too, and the house felt like a place where silence spoke louder than words. At dinner that evening, I tried to bridge the silence. I asked Jason about school, but he gave one-word answers, his eyes glued to his plate. Mark barely looked up, clearly lost in his own world. The clinking of cutlery was the only sound in the room. My heart ached. How had we become this? A family that sat together but felt miles apart? That night, when Jason had gone to his room, I sat at the edge of my bed, staring at the window where moonlight filtered in. My mind kept circling back to the look on my son's face. It was as if he had seen more than just me standing in the bathroom. It was as if he had seen my exhaustion, my loneliness, the cracks forming in our home. The next morning, I found Jason sitting quietly at the kitchen table, sketching in his notebook. I poured coffee and sat across from him. "Hey," I said gently. "About yesterday, don't worry, it was just an accident." He looked up at me, his eyes softer than they had been in a long time.
"I know, Mom," he said.
Then after a pause, he added, I see how tired you are." Those words pierced me more than anything else.
My son saw me.
He saw beyond the mother who packed his lunches and folded his clothes. He saw the woman who had been struggling silently, who had been waiting for anyone to notice. I reached across the table, placed my hand over his, and for the first time in months, he didn't pull away. But as tender as that moment was, it stirred something deeper. If my son could see my pain so clearly, why couldn't my husband? Later that week, I decided to confront Mark. We sat in the living room, the television muted, the air heavy between us. "Mark," I began, my voice trembling, "I feel like we've been living in the same house, but not in the same life. I'm drowning here, and I need you with me." He looked startled, almost as if he hadn't realized how far apart we had drifted. "Sarah, I didn't know you felt this way," he said. His words were quiet, but his eyes finally met mine in a way they hadn't for months. That conversation opened a floodgate. We talked about work stress, about expectations, about how we had both stopped leaning on each other. There were tears, there were long silences, but for the first time, there was honesty. Meanwhile, Jason, who had been watching us from the sidelines of his teenage world, slowly began to open up too. One evening, he shyly handed me a drawing he had made. It was of our family, me, him, and Mark, standing together under a tree. Above us, he had written one word: home. I held that picture to my chest and cried. Not out of sadness, but out of gratitude. In his quiet way, Jason had reminded us of what truly mattered. It wasn't easy after that. Rebuilding never is. But we started making small changes. Family dinners became a time for conversation again. Walks in the park replaced nights lost to television silence. And slowly, laughter found its way back into our home. That accidental moment in the bathroom could have remained just that, an awkward slip we laughed off. Instead, it became the turning point for a family that had been drifting apart. It forced me to confront my marriage, to open my heart to my son's unspoken words, and to remember that love isn't just about staying together under one roof. It's about seeing each other, really seeing, even when life tries to blur the view. Today, when I look back, I don't think about embarrassment or awkwardness. I think about the gift hidden inside that moment. A reminder that even the smallest, most unexpected events can be the wake-up call we need to heal, to talk, and to love again. And for that, I'll always be grateful.